Good morning or good afternoon, boys and girls. I am so excited to share this project with you. We're going to be making a sloth hanging from a tree. It's going to be a step-by-step drawing. And this is an example that I made earlier today with the video that you're about to see. And I used paint and I used black oil pastel, or you can use a black crayon. My daughter Elena made this one out of colored pencils, and then she used markers on top to add some detail. If you don't have a black oil pastel or black crayon and you want to paint, you just need to use like a Sharpie, or first draw it in pencil and then trace it in Sharpie before you paint. But if you do paint something that is Sharpie, you're gonna need to make sure you let certain areas dry before painting the next area, because most of you guys know that when you paint two things next to each other, they'll bleed together. And when you use the oil pastel or the crayon, those are waxy and oily, and oil and water don't mix. And so that's why I was able to paint here and here, and they were both wet at the same time, because this black acted as a wall, and the paint will not climb over the wall. But if it's Sharpie, it will. So what you would do is you would paint this first, let that dry before painting your background. So you would do like your sloth, and then maybe your flowers and your things that aren't touching the sloth. Does that make sense? So just use what you have. If you just want to use crayons or markers, you can. Make sure if you're painting that you cover your workspace. I have some paper here, and you're gonna need your paint set if you have one, a brush, and then like a water cup and a paper towel. And then also you're gonna need your one of your pieces of drawing paper that I sent home with you. They're like big like this. We're gonna cut it in half. Unless you want to make a big one, you can, but it's easier for me to do it a little bit smaller, so I cut it in half, and then I'll have extra paper for another project later. So, all right, see you soon. Okay, we're gonna start our sloth drawing, and I wanted to show you kind of a closer up version of the one that I did earlier with paint and oil pastel, or you could use a black crayon. And then here's a close-up one of my daughter's, and she just did colored pencil, and then she took some markers and added the little detail like on the vine here and in the leaves, and then she added some fur texture on the sloth. So again, those are the close-up versions that I showed you earlier. So to draw it, we can do this together. I want you to find the center of the paper, and the way I do that is I fold it, give it a little crease so I can say, okay, that's the middle. And we're gonna draw the sloth's face, and it's gonna be kind of on this side, big, close to the center line. So watch me. Make sure you pause your video if I go too fast, okay? And then next, what we're gonna do is we're gonna make a U. You don't want it to go all the way down to the bottom, kind of like that. And that's gonna be his body hanging. And then I'm going to make kind of like a bunny ear here. I'm gonna go around his head. See how far around I went? Because his arm will go here, okay? Then I'm going to kind of go around his face just a little bit. See that little curve? Okay, then I'm gonna take this leg, this is part of the first leg, and I'm gonna go down. Now, you don't want this to be too fat, so I kind of put my finger and I'm like, okay, it's probably a good width of the leg, because you don't want it to be this giant leg. If it's a giant fat leg, that's fine. And then we're gonna do the other one. Then we go down and we're gonna connect with the arms. So right now, it looks kind of weird. Those look like ears and not arms. That's okay. Next, we're going to do the eyes. So I'm going to draw, and they're not right in the middle, they're a little bit higher, and then I'm going to color them in, but I'm going to leave a little white speck. I like to do that because it makes it look shiny. And then I'm going to do the little mask around the eyes here. This is kind of like an oval. And here. And we have a little nose. And then a little happy face. Okay, now we need to make these look more like hands and not like ears. So I'm gonna add the little fingers. And then let's add a branch. So when I put my branch, do you see how it looks like it's going behind the arms a little bit? Right? You don't want to go through the arms. And you don't want to go through your sloth either, right? So we're going to go behind. See that? It's kind of like a start and stop line. And now we're going to add some leaves in detail. So when I put a leaf, I'm going to do a curved line here. And then I'm going to go around and touch and around and touch. And maybe I want one here. Same thing. Draw the curve around and around. And then maybe I'll do one over here. I don't have a lot of space, so this is just going to be kind of cut off the page. You see how it kind of goes off? You can't see the other part of it? That's totally fine. Okay, and now I'm going to put some leaves down here. So kind of look for where it needs something, like there's some space here, so this looks like a good place. I'm going to do like a furry one. Furry, I don't think leaves are furry, but you know what I mean. Kind of like a wavy line there. And then I'm going to put another vine. And if you don't have a lot of space, then you don't have to put a vine here. But if you do, go ahead. I'm going to add some flowers. I think flowers would look nice. Sorry, there's paper on there. I like doing wavy petals. It just seems a little more tropical to me. And then maybe we could do a leaf or a flower. Probably I'll do one more flower. That looks pretty good. And then do you think I need another leaf anywhere? I think we're good. Maybe something here? Let's add one more here. Perfect. And now we're going to paint. I'm going to take a watercolor set. If you don't have a watercolor set, you can just color it with crayons or markers or colored pencils. So you use what you have and that'll totally work fine. But some of you older kids know that if you have oil pastel or crayon, it creates a wall so that when I paint, it's this color will not mix with this color. So these little black lines act as like a wall or protection. If you don't have oil pastel and you don't have crayon, you can also use a Sharpie, but you're gonna need to paint this first, and then you're gonna have to skip your background, because if you paint this and this is wet and this is wet, they're gonna bleed together. So if you don't have oil pastel or black crayon and you use Sharpie, just let this dry before you do this background. So what I would do is I would paint here, paint all the little flowers and stuff, and then let that dry and then go back and paint the background. Okay, so I'm gonna choose orange just because I like orange. You can choose brown or whatever color you want. And if your paints are like mine and they've been asleep, you're gonna need to wake them up. So you need a lot of water and you need to swirl it for a while. The longer you swirl, the darker and richer the colors are. Most of y'all already know this because you've been my students for a while. Lots of swirling. And you see I'm kind of going back and forth using both sides of my brush so that it distributes the paint. If you get some puddles, like if it's too wet and you have puddles, remember in the past I've showed you, you just tear off a little piece of paper towel like this, and then you can like absorb some of the puddles, or you dry your paintbrush. So it's dry, and then you use your brush as like a vacuum to suck up that extra water if it gets too wet. Because puddling can be a problem sometimes with watercolor. Can't control it. Just wants to go where it wants to go. Okay. So there's my If you want to make your sloth pink or purple, feel free. An artist named Henry Rousseau used to paint jungle animals, and he would paint them all kinds of colors that weren't normal animal colors. And he was famous and successful because he did stuff like that. He thought outside the box. If you look him up, make sure you ask your parents first. Okay, and I'll do a yellow face. Yellow's a lighter color, so you need to really make sure it wakes up. And I can go right on top of that oil pastel, over the nose and over the mouth, because water and oil don't mix, and so it won't mess it up. Now again, if this was in Sharpie, you wouldn't want to paint this if this was wet, okay? So make sure that's dry first. But because I'm using oil pastel or crayon, which is the same thing, oil pastel is just a fancier, denser crayon. They're both made from oil, like wax, you know? Okay, now we'll do the toes. They have to have these little toes or they can't hold on to the branch. Again, if you get puddling or it's too much water, you just rip off a little piece of paper towel. And now I'm going to do the leaves. I love me some good lime green. Do you guys know how to make lime green if I have yellow? Add a tiny smidge of plain green, and it'll make a nice lime green. That looks good. And then maybe I want one more. I just love lime green so much, so I'm going to do this one too. You can also make turquoise, which is going to be this one plus what? This one, right? And it'll make a nice blue-green. I'm going to work on my sky before I do anything else, because it's going to, it'll show you how to choose the colors for here. If that doesn't make sense, just watch. I'm going to do kind of a rainbow sky. Some of you guys know how to do this. I can just paint it. You got to be careful. I could just paint it in rainbow order. Or you can do maybe just 3 colors only. Do you want to put colors that are similar, or sorry, not similar. You want to choose colors that are next to each other on the color wheel or on the rainbow. So if I choose red, I could choose orange, which is next, and yellow, which is next. Or the other way, I could choose red and then go around to purple and then blue, because you don't want to do black, but that'll also look really good. I'm going to bring my red down a little lower because that's a branch up there. Maybe I'll make a little line here. So this is where my red's going to go, all the way to there. I sure wish I could see y'all in person. It's not fair. Okay, the next color, I'm not going to do orange because my sloth is orange. So I'm going to go the other way and I'm going to do purple, which is next to red on the color wheel. And I'm going to go to about here, I think. So I'm going to make a little mark. I don't have to do much over on that side, do I? Just a little smidge over here. Okay, now you see how you can see this line here? If you don't want to see that, if you want it to blend together better, like a real sunset, then you wipe your brush off a little bit and then you can kind of lightly overlap right in the middle of both colors, and it kind of fades one into the other. So it looks pretty cool. Okay, so the next color will be what? If I'm here, I don't want to skip to green, so I'm gonna go right next to it and do blue. And I'm gonna do all of the rest blue. Well, I'll probably add a little green at the bottom, now that I think about it. So I'm gonna stop my blue right about there. Maybe put a line blue is really dark, isn't it? It looks really nice next to the orange because blue and orange are complementary colors, or we can call them best friend colors because they're opposite on the color wheel. They're across from each other, so they always look good together. One makes the other color really stand out. Okay. Now I have a little bit of blending I can do right here. Do you see where the purple and the blue mix? So I can kind of overlap and bring that blue up into the purple. And if I got too much, I can go back with some purple and kind of tone that down just a little, right? Okay, maybe a little bit right here. Smudge those two together like that. Okay, and now what's my next color gonna be? I'm here, so I'm not gonna skip. I'm gonna go to the next one, okay, which is green. I like this green. I haven't used this yet because I used lime green earlier. This is a nice grassy green. Oops, I got it on my leaves, that's okay. Okay. Now, I'm gonna wipe this off and I'm going to kind of blend these two together just a little. See how I'm kind of overlapping? Just a little. There's a puddle. A little blotty blot. All right, so now that my background's done, it'll help me decide what colors to do these. So I don't know if you can see this one, but I chose to do these flowers a nice red because my background right here is green, and red and green are opposite on the color wheel, and they look really good together too. Here's the complementary colors if you want to know, if you forget. So we've got red, and then we've got orange. Oh, I forgot yellow. Sorry, I'll skip that. Green, blue, and then purple. I have a smudge from earlier, so don't look at that smudge. Here is yellow. Okay, now this is kind of not the best color wheel, but you can see red and green are across from each other, so they look really good together. Blue and orange, and then yellow and purple look really good together. That's why this leaf stands out really nice, because it's a yellow-green against that purplish red background, right? That's just a little color theory for you, in case you're interested. So so I have green in my background and blue, so I'm gonna do like a nice red-orange. I'm gonna kind of mix these two together. Oh yeah, that stands out well. Now if I painted these green, they would look fine. They just wouldn't stand out as well, right? I could do them lime green, they would stand out better than if I did them plain green. Okay. And there's that. And then this guy will do, I think I'm gonna do like a purplish middle. And then I'm going to blend it out into a nice red-orange. So red, you'll see purple and red are next to each other. And I can go right over these pastel, or what am I saying? Oil pastel lines. And then we will mix to orange. Try not to go out of the lines right here because there's some green. You can see my green creeping over a little bit. That's all right. It's not gonna hurt anybody. I'm going really fast. Okay. And then this guy, what color do you think I should do him? His background is blue and purple. So if we look at our blue and purple, a good choice would be like an orange right? Some orange or some yellow. I think that will stand out really well. So let's do some more. I'll do more of like a lime yellowish. Yeah, that looks nice. Maybe with an orange middle. Perfect. Okay, so what do I still have to do? The branches. You can see here how it got out of the lines. If I saw that earlier, I would have dabbed it with my paper towel. That's okay. Now this drawing, I did not make up myself. I got this idea from another art teacher. She has online art classes called Deep Space Sparkle. And she does all kinds of drawing lessons. And I like to watch what she does. She's really good. So she did a sloth kind of like this too. And I used only half of one of my sheets of paper so that I could save my paper for other things. You could do a giant one, or you can do it on a big canvas if you have a big canvas. Okay, I want to add a little bit more detail. And some little veins. So you don't really want it to be, well, you can, but I like to add more details if I can. And then maybe one more little, all right. And there you have it. The sloth hanging from the tree. And no, those are not ears, they're hands. Remember, boys and girls, if you want to share this with me, don't forget to take a photo like this with your name in the shot, and then I can crop it out later. But I'd love to see what you did. I'm so excited. Bye.